So I was thinking about games. Here's a little inside scoop about my personal life. I think about games a lot. When I'm working, I think about games. Why am I whispering? I think about games when I'm like bored at work and just kind of do my thing. Um, and like I saw the trailer for shit, Strafe. Strafe, it's what it's called. It's it's actually a pretty cool trailer. Um, it's a shooter like Quake. Quake, it kind of looks like Quake in a way. Uh, kind of blocky looking enemies, deliberately done so. You know, it looks like an old game, but the speed and the shooting seems really fun. Um, that's kind of my thing with a lot of shooters today is the shooting is not fun. Like it's just I've been playing Spec Ops: The Line, and it's just the shooting is fucking dull. Like it's just dull. The only gun that really so far that I've experienced that feels like it has any heft is the AK-47, but it's just it's kind of hard to explain. Like there's some games the shooting just feels good. Like id games feel good. Um, I'm trying to think. Like Max Payne 3, shooting was a little slippery, a little floaty, kind of difficult to manage, and a very difficult game, I might add. Uh, on top of the fact that the controls kind of sucked, but the shooting felt good. When you blasted a dude in that game, I mean, I don't mean to sound violent or crazy, but like the effect when you pulled the trigger felt dramatic. Um, when I play Spec Ops: The Line, it's just the guns don't have any punch. Anyway, so this game looks like an old shooter, which is great because more old shooters. You know what? That's pretty cool. Um, and the trailer was really violent, and I kind of thought it was a little much for me. But it made me think, like, why don't we just have more basic shooters? Like, for example, I just booted up Doom the other day, and I was like, why? Doom doesn't waste anyone's fucking time. You know, it's just you walk in and you start shooting shit, and like, I really liked Far Cry 4. It is one of the best games ever made. But it's no pun intended. It's a far cry from the best game I've ever played, um, and it just wastes your time. Like in the beginning of Far Cry 4, it's just you got to do all this crafting to expand your inventory, and it's just like I know it makes me sound lazy, but it's just the part where I have to manage my ammo. Like I just run out of ammo like crazy, and it's already a hard game. Um, just because I haven't jumped through this hoop yet. I haven't chased down a bunch of pissed off animals that are liable to kill me, and while I have dudes shooting at me the whole time, just give me maximum ammo carry all the time, and then scale the game based on that. Just get. I'm not saying infinite ammo, but I'm saying I don't want to constantly worry about shit like this because it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Um, and don't get me wrong, I had a hell of a time with Far Cry 4. Like when a vehicle rolls up on you and you got that LMG and you just pull the trigger and the sparks and shit and the ragdoll effects in that game are great. Like it just looks fucking great. Even on Xbox it looks great, but um I but the I didn't find much of the side stuff to be great. I played worse, but it wasn't great. Jumping on a quad and driving, and doing like a little relay race is kind of tired and old. But the shooting was good. But the point is, I like games like here's an example. It should make id Software, the company that developed Doom, should like release for like $20 or $30. They should release a horde mode game, like a killing floor type thing. Make it feel good. Make it feel like an id shooter. But just say, yeah, here's waves of enemies, and you can level up your gear and customize your weapons. And dude, revelation. What if id made a game that was called like id's All Stars? I don't know. I'm not a fucking video game developer. But what if they made a game called id's All Stars or whatever, and they put all the Doom enemies in it? Like maybe focus on like Wolfenstein and Doom and maybe a few enemies, a few games. But like, what if you could just go in to one game and fight all those enemies with all the guns and just know, whatever, fuck around, have fun. That's it, man. Like, don't get me wrong, I like a story, man. The Last of Us is one of the best games I've ever played because the story was great. Even though it was kind of a bitch early on because they don't give you anything and the enemies are way too tough. Um, and it was the first like 3 hours of the game are kind of not a lot of fun. But man, that game made me emotional. Not like sobbing, but like I got moist eyeballs over uh, the opening of that game, and it was shocking, and people were getting fucked up, and I cared. Um, anyway, point is, that should have been my number one last year. By the way, I fucked up and made a Rogue Legacy. I should have flip flopped those. Um, but I mean, I really like a game that just says, "Here you go, let's shoot some enemies." Don't send me on any gay fetch quests. Pardon the phrase. I know it's not PC anymore. I'm sorry. But I don't want to do fetch quests. I don't want to do all these old tired quests. It's a drag. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Borderlands 2, but I hit a part of the game where I really needed a level because I was just doing mostly mainline stuff. And then it was like, here are all these bad side quests you have to do in order to get up to be a high enough level. And it wasn't an enjoyable. I stopped playing. I did one or two of those crappy side missions, and that was it. So I think I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why developers feel the need to trivialize a lot of things. Like I mean, I don't need a fetch quest. I don't need this or that. I mean, maybe that's the excuse me, the complication with modern games. A lot of them are open games, and how do you guide or direct or whatever, and maybe that's where the fetch questing comes in. But I would be so, and I know it makes me sound simple. I know I have ADHD, and I know I am impatient. Um, but I love games like Painkiller and Doom where you can just kick ass and just you keep kicking ass. New area, the shooting feels great when you blast dudes, they fly. That's engaging enough. But you got to keep it going. I mean, you got to keep it entertaining. Um, Sending me to God knows where, in a shitty mode of transportation. Sometimes just my own feet. Taking an hour to run over there to grab something for no fucking reason and bring it back just so I can get XP so I can be allowed to go into the next area of the game. Like, I mean, that was all acceptable a long time ago, but I mean, I would like to have a game that was like Far Cry, Fallout 3, like a innovative, you know, something that changes things. I would like that too, but I'm okay with just whooping on enemies. Make the gameplay fun. Make the gameplay fun. Keep it engaging. Keep it tactile. I want it to feel good. And then worry about story and if you want to make a game that has quests in it, if you're gonna do that, do it right. But man, I'm just thinking about id Software making a game with everything in it. Like, how fucking rad would that be? I know it'll never happen because id Software doesn't know what the hell they're doing anymore. The only thing they got, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I liked the Wolfenstein, but what was it called? The New Order, the new one. But fuck, it, it's not it's not quality id. I mean, people are going to laugh, but I really liked Doom 3. I'm sorry, I'm picking up my phone. I really liked Doom 3. Um, Shooting felt good. I didn't have to do any dumb, boring wandering around quests, and I didn't have my ammo being constantly minimal. The whole game, I was picking up guns off the floor. And the thing that makes id games fun is you run and run and run, and you just mow down enemies, and you keep moving, and you keep collecting keys, and you keep going. Wolfenstein, it was like I had to stop and pick up guns constantly, and I'm being shot, and I'm always out of ammo. Um, Keep it moving. I mean, that was a classic id staple. Um, was just kind of keep it moving. In the original Wolfenstein, you could actually pick up enemies and drag them around, and uh, you know steal their gear or their stuff, obviously. But they ripped it out of the game before they released it when they're still developing it because it just slowed everything down. It detracted from the speed. Don't make characters pick up ammo for guns they already have. I mean, unless it's a highly realistic game, just avoid it, especially in a fast game like Wolfenstein. But I actually like thinking about Wolfenstein and like the things they did with story was such a silly game. Um, I it, I mean, it made me it affected me emotionally once. I mean, Wolfenstein. It's a great game, but it's really sad that the shooting was kind of held back with all the kind of gameplay design decisions that I disagree with. But I mean, this thing here that I'm doing, this, I guess it's now a podcast. I'm just rambling, really. I'm thinking about games, thinking about when games were exciting when I was young, and it was like, what's gonna come next? What's the future? What's that gonna be? Now it's like, boy, do games feel the same? Like games like The Last of Us are rare. I The more I think about The Last of Us, I think it might be my favorite game since Fallout 3. But it's not. I'm not excited for the future of games because these consoles are out of date, and I still love games. Like, don't get me wrong. This is not. I don't want this to sound like I'm shitting all over games, and I'm still. I I cannot wait till I stop talking so I can upload this and get back to playing video games. I'm thinking about it now, but it's like I don't know. It's There isn't a lot of innovation anymore. Like as not interested as I am, and I'm not interested in Nintendo like I used to be. But I think they're innovative, and I think when they make a good game, it's fucking amazing. Uh, many of my favorite games are Nintendo games. So you don't see that kind of innovation as often as you used to. Maybe it's because the cost. I don't know, but for me, graphics, story. I mean, it's all the things you get out of like a AAA game. Um, I'm not super obsessed about the most modern looking game as long as the game is good. Like Killing Floor looks like shit. I mean that game is not a good looking game at all, but it's really good. I played I put more hours into that game than I think any other game uh, since maybe Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 1. highly addictive. $20. See, that's the thing. $20, man. People complain about like how hard it is to sell games. If you just make them cheap and you make them right, and you don't, just keep it simple. Just make a small game that's really awesome for cheap. Many of my favorite games of all time are budget games that just focused on innovation and gameplay. Super Crate Box, not the best game ever made. It's free, and you find out what that game is in about 1 minute, and there you go. It's still awesome and addictive, and I don't know why I keep playing it. So that's the thing about games being so big now. It's like there's so much to them. It's hard to make good on all of it. There's so many games I've played where I'm like, man, this game is awesome, but if I didn't have to stop and pick up guns, or if I didn't, it's like stuff like that. Um, I know I am not a celebrity. I know what I say may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but I encourage developers to keep your games affordable and you will make a lot of money. I mean, I'm being very reductive here. But it's just Killing Floor. They are very successful. And it is because it was a cheap game and they poured back into that game. That game has so much more content from the day it released. I've been playing that game since launch, and they poured so much into it. Some of it was paid, but most of it is not. And anything that is paid, you're not really missing out. If you, I mean, you are, but you're not missing anything that you really need. Um, and you don't. It's just $20, and you don't have to keep throwing money at it. It's just highly addictive horde mode game, and that's it. And it was successful because it was cheap, and they kept giving back, and they kept it relevant by putting money into it, and they had Steam sales. They dramatically discounted that game from $20 a bajillion times over the course of, man. It's been out for like 5 years. It's been out for a while. Um, they just poured into that game. I think they released a couple games since that game came out, maybe a few. Um, and Red Orchestra, I don't know what that game costs, but say what you will about World War II games, that game looks awesome. Like, graphics look awesome, sound, everything. I just don't want another World War II game. No, thank you. So anyway, I think that's all I got for tonight. Um, I recently changed the podcast to Mortal Gamer. I have been posting more on YouTube as of late. Um, I'm gonna keep trying to give you content. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to be more busy with posting games on YouTube and just whatever, giving commentary. I've been just kind of doing that, finding fast, easy to demonstrate games. Like Super Crate Box, whatever. It makes it much easier to kind of put out lots of, because I have a shit ton of games on my Steam list. Like, it's ridiculous the money I must have spent on that. I'm getting better about not just buying games because they're on sale, but I still do it sometimes. Anyway, if you like what you hear, please tell all of your friends, tell everybody you know. I do not care. Um, tag No, do not tag Mortal Gamer on the walls in the bathrooms. Yeah, just share the podcast, and I'm on YouTube as well, Gabe0083. You'll probably find me if you just type in Mortal Gamer. Um, what else? Twitter, Mortal Gamer on Twitter. Also Gabe0083 as a username, but Mortal Gamer probably would suffice. Um, I try to post on there here and there, but I forget about it a lot because I have a full-time job and just, you know, doing life. Um, so yeah, share the podcast. I haven't done a podcast in a long time because um, my co-hosts have lives and school and work and all this, um, which is totally acceptable. So if you like the show and you want to be on the show, then I will let anybody on the show. I am not picky at this point. I mean, I'm being realistic. Um, just be a person that's excited about video games and actually plays. Like, here's the problem: games like Call of Duty, like, you know how many people buy just Call of Duty? They buy the Xbox or PS4, and they buy the Call of Duty, and then that's it. I mean, which is totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. But the thing is about that, many people just play Call of Duty, and I feel bad because I know I'm boring them when I'm talking about. I don't want to have someone halfway through the show feel like I'm bothering them with all the stuff I've been playing, uh, because a lot of people aren't, they like playing games on occasion, and they like talking about the few games that they play, but they're not nerds like me. They're not like I am content to have a conversation about video games every day. That's I like to talk about video games with people I know that play games. I like to pick their brain and find out what they think about what they're playing and why it's good or bad or whatever, and looking at every single microscopic corner of that product and analyzing it and obsessing about the details, and which is why I freak out about Wolfenstein making you pick up guns. It's just it's entertaining. So anyway, that's the show, guys. Thanks for listening. Please share.